This is a summary of a short presentation given to Morgan Stanley on nutrition in conjunction with Lift a Life and Anatomy Fitness. Hello, I'm Anthony. I'm a clinical nutritionist, a certified functional medicine practitioner specializing in the area of nutrition and things that affect us in general, a certified ketogenic nutrition specialist, and a member of the National Board for Modern Psychotherapy. However, I think my main qualification is I love food, and also that's why I'm in this profession. I also like those foods that we shouldn't have too much of, and my main one is chocolate. I can still have it, but I've learned to control it. The areas I'd like to cover with you in this video is, firstly, what affects you. Then, 3 tips and tricks that you can take away with you and start using right now. Very briefly, I'll talk about a lot of the things I haven't mentioned, but you usually find a lot of other people mention. Then right at the end, I'll give you an email address if you want to contact me with just any questions, and I can give you general answers, but not a diagnosis. Let's look at what affects you, and we consider 3 main areas: nutrition, food, and diet. And by diet here, I don't mean going on a diet, it just means generally what you eat. Then we look at environment, and lastly, we look at active movement. Not just exercise, going to the gym, but just general active movement, which may include the gym. Now, if we go back to nutrition, food, and diet, we consider what you eat. Is it whole food? How healthy is that food? How much fast food do you eat? Then, when you eat. Are you eating 3 times a day, 6 times a day, once a day? What's suitable for you? Then after that, how you eat. Do you chew your food well? Do you eat very, very quickly? And then what about supplements? There is a place for supplements, but sometimes people overuse supplements. Supplements do not turn bad food into good food. Generally, you need to come back to base and consider what you're eating. Later on, supplementation may or may not be necessary. Then we consider the environment. The physical environment you live in. What about the AC unit? Is it clean? Isn't it clean? Is there new paint in your building or in your house? All those things can affect you. Then there is the psychological factor. How well are you getting on with your partner? What about your interaction with your boss and colleagues? And then lastly, there is active movement or exercise. And that's the part that Anatomy Fitness dealt with. The first tip and trick I'd like to show you is your hand. Now, if you look at your whole hand, that is the amount of vegetables you should see on your plate. And if you look at it, it's your whole hand from the wrist to the tips of your fingers and a nice curve from the wrist to the tips of the fingers. Then, if you make a fist, that is the carbohydrates. If you think about it, it looks a bit like a potato. And then lastly is the protein. If you just consider your palm, and also the thickness of your palm, that's about the size of your red meat. It's around 100 grams. Then if you go up to the first set of knuckles, that's the chicken or other forms of poultry. It's a much lighter meat than beef and lamb. Then finally, look at the whole hand. That can be your fish. Fish is probably the lightest meat of all, when you consider that just with a fork you can break it up on your plate. Here, you should consider cold fish like salmon and tuna, because it has more of the omega-3s. If you are a vegetarian or a vegan, then we look at the size of the same as chicken and poultry, up to the first knuckles, things like hummus and tofu. Also, when you look at your hand is anatomically perfect for you. If your hand were on another person, it would look a bit strange. So there you have it. Your take anywhere food measure you can use at home, at a restaurant, eating out, at work. The second tip and trick is the traffic lights. When you are eating vegetables, remember it's the whole hand, you should see all the colours of the traffic lights and also the range of colours within the green, orange and red. Now, about 2/3 of the plate should be made up of the green vegetables. I mean, go for it. They're really good for you. Spinach, kale, those sorts of things, broccoli, and that also includes cauliflower and cabbage. Then there is the red. That brightens up the plate. And then the softer oranges as well. They beautify the plate. But it's interesting that the colours of vegetables also give an indication of the vitamin and mineral range. For the third tip and trick, I'd like you to consider the whole living animal kingdom as a whole. Most creatures eat because they need to. They eat to survive. However, we as human beings are a little bit different. We also eat to socialize, and that's a little bit of the problem. When someone gets married, we eat. When someone passes away, we eat. When you get a promotion at work, we eat. When you have an argument or an upset with someone, a partner or a colleague, you often go together and eat something as part of the reconciliation process. The problem is we often end up eating too much. So stop overeating. Now, sometimes that's easier said than done. So how do you do it? Well, one trick is go back to tip and trick number 2. If you eat according to the hand, you are taking in whole food with lots of fiber and body to it. So that keeps you fuller for longer. Another little idea is when you get those niggling little feelings of hunger, instead of going away to eat, have a glass of lemon juice. Now, it could be just straight water with lemon or sparkling water with lemon. That helps quash those small hunger feelings. And also, the lemon is really good for your liver and kidneys. It's part of a cleansing process as well. What about those things I didn't talk about, and usually a lot of other people talk about? The first one is calorie counting. Yes, there is a place for calorie counting, but you need to step back a little bit. Before calorie counting, look at what you are eating. Again, I go back to the hand. If you are eating whole, nutritious food, often calorie counting doesn't become necessary because you fill up sooner, but with food that lasts longer and keeps you feeling fuller for longer. Also, macronutrients, carbohydrates, fats, protein. Again, if you eat according to the hand, you will probably get that good balance of carbs, fats, and protein. Then, if you are doing that with the hand, you are probably getting the vitamins and minerals that you need. Also remember that a lot of macronutrients, in terms of the meat, etc., are around 55 to 65% water. A lot of vegetables are between 75 to 95% water. That makes up a portion of your water consumption for the day. Then during the day, you just need to gently make sure that you are drinking some water. Don't overdo it. But also keep in mind, when it's much hotter, you need to take in more water. If you are eating whole, nutritious food, eating according to the hand, you are taking in nature's best multivitamin and mineral pill. Now, I'm sure you've got some questions. Here is my email address, eatingelephantsaj.com. Feel free to email me and ask questions. Please just keep in mind, though, this is a very short presentation that is just a small nutshell of the whole field. So over the email, I can't give a diagnosis, but I'm more than happy to answer your general questions.